Alrighty, I know everybody's getting ready for Easter, but that's how it goes. And I hope everyone's going to have a great Easter weekend with their family and friends. And I'm joined tonight by Brendan Alexandra, former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, and we'll see what the journey holds. But thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it. I know we've touched base a few times in person and that sort of thing. So always kind of makes it a bit easier when kind of have you on the interview and on the Zoom. And yeah, so again, thanks for making the time.
All good. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Um, so let's kind of go back to when you first got to the CFL and just kind of that journey, especially to Winnipeg, when Winnipeg first signed you back in 2017 and just kind of what was that process like, first impressions of the CFL, etc.
Yeah, I mean the process was a little bit different, but I mean no different than me being a walk on in college. So just going out and I had let me see, one, two, basically had three tryouts before I had a chance to even go up to Winnipeg. And out of those three tryouts, in my opinion, two of them went well, one of them did not, and that was my first one.
Yeah.
My first one, I called a cramp the first 30 minutes of the tryout, and I tried to push through the last hour of it. And um, so happened that I got a chance to even get a second tryout and showcase my ability. So I was in way better shape in that second tryout, and the third tryout, all they wanted to do was see me run. So
Right.
once they saw me run, I got up to the CFL. And of course, football's football at the end of the day, but it got different, intricacies into it, versus playing football in the States, with being 1 yard off the ball, with the waggle with the receivers, and then obviously having 12 men on the field on both sides of the ball, and the field being much bigger. Those elements of the game makes it that much different than what it would be in the States.
Yeah.
And so going up there is basically kind of like a brand new game. You got to switch your style by the way you play. And um, the thing that made me thrive in that was, again, like, with me having a walk-on background, it's just, hey, this is an opportunity for me. So whatever I can do to be able uh, to get on this field, that's what I'm gonna do. And so, we have camp up there. And at that time too, I felt like this was my last shot at playing football. Anyway, I had 2 years where I didn't play football before I got this opportunity.
Right.
I ended up pulling my hamstring at my pro day in 2015 and didn't really get a shot since then. So it didn't like I was just glad to be able to be back on the field again. It didn't matter where I was at or what I was doing, and then it just so happened that Winnipeg wanted to give me a shot. So, I went out there. And um they used to call me the rep stiller, but I wasn't stealing any reps. I was just taking the reps that nobody wanted to take. That's how I looked at it. I was like, okay, well, you don't want to go here. I'm gonna go there.
Right.
Oh, nobody want to jump on this spot. Okay, I'm gonna jump on this spot. Like y'all trying to make the team as I'm trying to make the team, but I'm not gonna make the team by sitting in the back watching everybody. I'm gonna make the team by, getting out there and showing what I can do. And so I did 2 full days of that, and then the third day before, and back then, we used to call up for rookie mini camp, and then you would go home, and hope that you would get a call back. Now it's like you come up to rookie mini camp and you're there,
Yeah.
until they'll still knock on your door that third day if you're going home, but you'll be there, still even when the guys come up, so. Um, it just so happened that that third day of practice, the coaching staff didn't allow me to practice because I took so many reps. I did so many things in the first 2 days. They were like, okay, you showed enough, you did enough, you showed that you want to be here. I didn't show that I was, perfect, or I was, great at this or that. I just showed that I wanted to be there. I just showed that I wanted to play football, and that's kind of how I got my opportunity. And, Winnipeg and the CFL in general, like both of them gave me a chance to play ball again. So, um, I don't take that lightly. I don't take that for granted at all. So, that was kind of my journey up there. And, so happened that I made 8 years out of it. So I was blessed to have that.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I go back from 2017 and then up till now, 2024. Yeah, that's that's a pretty darn good resume with a few Grey Cups in there, no
Mhm.
doubt, right? And again, just that process. And why don't we dive into the 2019 Grey Cup? And memory serves me right of what happened as soon as that game started, and I'll let you fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as that game started, like it was I mean, that year in general was different. We started off the season hot. We started off the season 6-0.
Yeah,
And then out of nowhere, things just started hitting the fan.
yeah,
Like people were going down, key pieces on our team was going down. Like, I went down for about 10 weeks. Jackson Jeffcoat went down for a while. Darvin Adams went down for a while. Matt Nichols went down for the rest of the season.
right.
We had a lot of things happen that year after we started off hot, and then we just kind of hit like a little rut where we were losing a couple games here, we win one, lose a couple games here, win one, and then later on in that season, everybody got healthy, and then I got moved to safety, and then once everybody got healthy, like we just went on this crazy run, and end up the first game we end up going to Calgary, and the beast of the West was Bo Levi and the Stampeders. They were the team that was running the West at the time, and we beat them that year, and then we had to go into Saskatchewan, and play them in Saskatchewan, and that was I want to say that was really the game of the year right there with, the last second hitting the goalpost, for us to win that game. And even before that, even us having a shot of winning that game um, with Shane, catching, from a punt return that was going to be a touchdown. Shane ran about 70 yards down the field to go catch one of the fastest players that was on that field. And by no means necessary, Shane is one of the fastest players on the field. But that day on that play, he was,
Yeah.
and so he gave us a chance to be able to go to the Grey Cup, and then we were playing the best team in the CFL in the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They got it rolling right now. The guys they got over there with Brandon Banks and Dane Evans came in and took the hems off, and he took that team and kept winning because that year Jeremiah Masoli ended up getting hurt early in the season. And so he took that team and they went 15-3 that year,
Yeah.
and they even came to our home during the season and handled us pretty well, pretty good by like 20 something points.
So you
And
did.
so we get to the championship game, and I don't know what happened, I don't know what that was. It was just we just knew, we start off the game with a couple sacks, a couple forced fumbles with I want to say it was Willie Jefferson ended up getting a forced fumble, and Biggie ended up picking it up. He's scoring on offense, and then next drive, I think Justin Jeffco get a sack. We score, and then the next drive, I end up getting an interception. In that game, and it was just rolling. That night was just amazing. That's literally my favorite year of the Grey Cup.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you said having an interception, it kind of set the tone. I've always said that, and it was like, okay, here we go, and you guys just had that swagger, and everybody said, okay, Hamilton's gonna do this. Well, I was at that game in Regina, and I've brought this up with every bomber basically I've interviewed, and I just knew after you won that game, you would win the Grey Cup. I was 95% confident. Like this is
That
it
game was
because
tough.
there was stuff in that game. You were in the end zone when
Mm-hmm.
Pajaro hit that upright, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I guess we're
And
going
the
to
play,
overtime.
the play before I could have ended the game. The play before he hit the goalpost,
Yeah,
he throws. They run the same play, the same exact play. And the first time they ran it, grabbing it with my left hand, and I didn't put both hands out there, and I end up just swatting the ball down instead of intercepting it. And so they ran it again, and the guy was in the middle, was he was kind of open, but I was running to it. I still believe right now, if that would have went past the goalpost, I would have been able to make a play on it if I would have dove. But you just don't know in the game of football. You
Right.
know, I wholeheartedly believe that I still would have made that play.
Yeah.
But the fact that it hit the goalpost just kind of reassured it. And, I'm just glad that it happened.
Yeah. Most definitely. I always say it's probably one of the most emotional games of my life. And up with Labor Day of 2024, mind you, after that onside kick, I couldn't believe it, but that was wild. I was like,
Yep.
Willie, I told him this actually. I told him at the faith night. I said, Willie, you were just kind of like, yeah. As soon as that went over, and I didn't tell him this part. I said you were kind of hanging out like you were at the beach, but I was like, they're gonna recover it, but that's how it goes. So, mentors, role models in your life. In particularly Winnipeg, but just in general, maybe the influence of Jordan Younger or Richie Hall, for example, your coaches.
Yeah. Just taking Winnipeg's only. I mean, that whole coaching staff is, special in its own, special in itself. So, if I'm just going to talk coaching staff, first off, I'm gonna say Richie Hall. Richie Hall is the person that really believed in me and really, gave me a shot to be able to come up there and showcase my abilities. So, and I used to talk to him all the time. I still do, and yeah, he gave me that opportunity to do that, and he influenced me in a lot of positive ways and pointed me into the right direction. And then even with JY coming in 2018, just having a different perspective on the game, having a different perspective on the DBs, how to play it, differently. And he's played a lot of positions when he was playing in the CFL, so he saw the game a little bit different, and he's the one that saw that I could be back there at safety. Because I mean, I played 2 years at corner in college, and I played 2 years at safety in college. And once I got hurt in 2019, I started watching practice from the back of the end zone. And so I would be in the back of the defense, and I would be watching literally everything.
Yeah.
And I also think that the coaching staff saw that, and they were like, okay, you know what? Let's try to put him there. He's been back there before. Let's see what that looks like. And it just changed the whole dynamic of the defense.
Mhm.
Um, so, and then of course, Coach Osh, you gotta put him in there. He's a player's coach. He allows the players to be able to dictate what's going on in the locker room and form the team the way that they should. And let the team get through the kinks and things and become this, team that he dreamed of, having. And so he's had that for multiple years, and he's built that program, that organization up to be as such, as prestige as it is now. So you definitely got to put him up there. And then as far as players, so, Chris Randall was big at my time. When Chris Randall was here, he used to talk to me all the time, and I used to hang out with him. And he's a great leader himself. Um, Same with, even on the opposite side with Darvin Adams. Darvin Adams was another one of those guys. Yoshi was one of those guys. I mean, I could have the list go on. I mean, uh, you still had Andrew Harris in the building at that time. Like you had a lot of great guys around you that really cared about the game of football, but not only that, they cared about the people that they were working with. They cared about the camaraderie. They cared about the locker room. And so it shows. I could literally go down the list of a lot of players that, you know, helped me and saw me grow up in that locker room and becoming, what I became. And they always believed in me and had faith in me and things. So, I got a full list of that. I mean, I can name all of them if you need me to, but you know, yeah, all those guys in there were great guys, and they were standout people. And yeah, I was just glad to be in that locker room and be around that. And once some of those guys left, like Chris Randall and things, and I had the opportunity to step up and be one of the leaders, one of the voices in the locker room. It kind of flourished in a way where, we were able to bring a championship in within 29 years, and have the city erupt like that. And so happen to do it again back to back. Luckily the CFL didn't have a season in 2020. It might have been a different type of story that we'd be writing right now. But the fact that we was able to do it 19 and then doing it 21 back to back, like that's special on its own.
Yeah, I mean, your first team since the Montreal Alouettes to do it. The parade. I wasn't at the parade, but I just remember there was a picture of you going down Port Germain just in jubilation, and just that scene, and just again, what did that mean to you to kind of see the fans? Again, you see them at the 29,000 or whatever in the stadium, but to
Mhm.
see them basically take off work and be there for you guys,
Yeah.
do that. I mean,
Yes.
that's huge.
So before I explain that, in that picture though, there's a guy in the picture that got his hands up like this, and I'm walking past him, but it's not because I didn't see. It's not because I saw him. I was just like ecstatic. I was happy. I was excited, And so I'm
Mhm.
sorry to whoever that was on the side that I walked past. Please forgive me. I have that picture, and it's standing out. But the fact that yeah, it seemed like the whole city was out there. Like it's like people took off work, or I don't know, maybe the work said, "Hey, we canceling today. We going here."
Right.
It felt like it was 30,000, 100,000 like people out there. It felt like
Mm,
the whole city, and I know the city of Winnipeg has a million people in it, but it just felt like everywhere you go, we're on the trucks, we're on the cars, and everywhere we turn, everywhere we go, it's just a fleet of people. And they're screaming like we're screaming. It's cold outside. You know what I'm saying? It's really cold outside. But you got people that got a shirt off. You got it was crazy. It was just like this is what Winnipeg is about. This is what Winnipeg has been missing for 20 something years. This is what Winnipeg needed. And you've seen it because the fan base is what drives the team. You know,
hmm
nobody wants to come play in Winnipeg when it's October, November time. Nobody wants to go there. Why? Because one is cold. But the number one reason is because you can't hear nothing when you're in there and you know it. You have to prepare. You can't just prepare for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You got to prepare for the Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans. You
Yeah.
got to prepare for that, and that's a beast of his own. So to see the crowd like that, it wasn't surprising. It was just it. We just thankful that we have that type of fan base to be able to say that we was a part of that.
Well, yeah, mo most definitely. And as you say, the 29 years, the built up frustration, go through the list. I mean, before your time, I always think about 2001. Interviewed Bob Irving, goes, I don't think there's some guys on that team that are over it. And just again, you did it for those guys. I always say that. And when you talk about the crowd, so was it hard to communicate on defense at Princess Auto Stadium?
Well, we're used to it though,
Hmm.
so it's like that's for us. If you say it's hard to communicate in that stadium, we're on defense, and we're on defense. The crowd is going crazy. When you saying it's hard to communicate, it's an excuse because you're in the building. You've been in the building. You know what to
Right.
expect. So we're already communicating in practice like we're in the game. We're a lot of times it's not verbiage. It's more hand signals, it's more body language, and sometimes it's just eye contact. Oh, I know. Okay, we know then. And
Right.
that's all that you need. And we've been doing that for years. So when you've been in that building just as long as I have or any other people that's still on there, and you played on that side of the ball and you hear that crowd, like you tell the younger guys, this is what it's gonna be. And this is how it's going to operate. So in practice, this is how we got to be able to communicate in order for us to be successful on this side of the ball.
Yeah.
And we want the crowd to be like that, please, at all
Yeah.
times.
I mean, what is it? It was, I should know the number. I think we're at 180 187 false starts. I may be off on that, but it's a lot of false starts. And I mean, the
Mhm,
building's been open now for going into its 12th year. So, I mean,
mhm.
that's unreal.
I mean,
No question.
the biggest one that I can remember about the crowd was in 2023, and BC came in, with Nathan Rourke, and it was a tight game the whole way, but that last drive showed exactly what Winnipeg stand for, and that last drive they could not hear anything. So we on defense, we're sitting there waiting, and all you see is Nathan Ward like running to the receivers. They're lined up. He's running to the receivers, trying to tell them what to do because they cannot hear the play call. They cannot hear the adjustments, and that helped tremendously of us winning that game that day.
You're talking about the 2022 West Final?
Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah.
2022. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, yeah, yeah.
I remember that was yeah. That was insane. Uh
Mm-hmm.
it just yeah, it just feels like it's a next level. And again, the Jets are about to get going. There's something I think there's something in the water in Winnipeg. I could be wrong on this. I've lived here for a majority of my life, but um I know in the West Final in 2019, I couldn't hear myself think. Um and then I go on radio.
2019 or 2021? Because 2019 West Final was in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that was loud. And
That was loud.
then I proceed to go on to Steinbach Radio and say Winnipeg fans can learn. I think Winnipeg fans are loud all the time, but that was in particularly loud. That
Mm-hmm.
game, hats off to the Rider fans.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like if the Bombers are up even 27-0, there was that game you guys played versus BC last August, and the place going bananas, and you guys are way up. It's
Mm-hmm.
just and so it's just this consistent thing, and they got it going on there. They've done it all right there, Wade Miller and the guys. Like even FanFest, I think everybody was kind of ready for a game on Sunday. So
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen so
Mm-hmm.
many people
Mm-hmm.
picking their season tickets up. Any superstitions that you had have as a player?
Uh, Off the top of my head, I mean, there'll be certain songs that I would listen to on every time that we play a game. But as far as superstitions, no, not really. I didn't really have none.
Right.
Because every game is different, So you can't the same routine just is kind of impossible to do for real. There's players that definitely keep their same routine the whole time, but I mean, each day brings its own trials and its own tribulations and its own outlook on things. So each game is the same exact way. So I
Right.
mean, we're creatures of habit, but at the same time, it's not like you can do exactly what you did today tomorrow. It just can't happen.
Right.
So superstitions, nah, not really, but I do, and I also do like my long socks though. I like my long socks. I wanted to wear my long socks all the time. So besides those, nah, not really.
Yeah, that's all good. So I was at the Pro Sports Faith Dinner in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren Coral had you up there talking about the recovery of your knee injury
Mm-hmm.
from the Grey Cup. And just want to talk about kind of that journey and how that was. It was right after winning the Grey Cup in overtime in Hamilton, and you felt something pop.
Mm-hmm.
Do you kind of want to delve into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how life happens like that. You play a full season and, there's nothing wrong with you. And, today was the best season of my career in 2021. And, literally on the last play, the last game of the season that you can have, I see my guy end up intercepting in the football and for us to win the game. And I'm going over there to celebrate. And as soon as I go and jump to say, yay, it tears, and, that just says that I gave everything that I had, like if it was another week, I couldn't do it, and so in ways like that was just meant for that time to happen, and the journey sucked. It really sucked because I haven't been through anything like that before. Where um you had to rehab and you're not going to be able to play until later on in the season next year. And it was tough, and that was the year where I stayed up in Winnipeg and fighting through that snow that season, and in that year that was one of the worst winters that anybody has seen up there in about 40, 50 years. And I'm trying to maneuver through the snow, maneuver through all that stuff in crutches. And the way that I tore my ACL, it was bent like in the L shape like this the whole time, for about 4 months. Like I wasn't ever straight. So I wasn't able to get into the gym how I wanted to so fast. I had to make sure that that got straightened out before I could do anything else. And so um, once I was able to get in the gym, but even before then, just doing all the small things like hill slides and stuff like that. The one thing that I promised myself that I was going to do, and I think that was the reason why, I came back and um, I didn't have any major injuries after that. As far as with my knee and things, is because every single day that I got in there, I was gonna do it until I couldn't do it anymore. Whatever that they told me to do, I was gonna make sure that I did it to the best of my ability at 100% every single time. So if it was hill slides 3 sets of 20, I was doing the hill slides 3 sets of 20 to the part where I couldn't go no more and it hurts. But I knew that it was gonna get me to a better spot. When I finally got into the gym and I was doing things like 3 sets of unlimited body squats, I would literally do 3 sets of unlimited body squats until the first set I couldn't do anymore. And then I would go to the second set and I would do it until I knew that I could not do it anymore. And I took it like that, and I came back a little bit faster uh than the date said I was going to come back. And it just so happens that I came back. Uh, the first game back was in Hamilton, you know. So that was just a weird thing in itself, but it showed that I was healthy and um I was ready to go. So like I said, yeah, that process was very tough and it was hard to go through, but it just made me better. It made me stronger and made me realize that I can get through anything. I get through this, and I did. So yeah, that's how that played out.
Yeah. So since I brought up the faith, then what kind of mentor was Lauren in your life?
Yeah, like it was great to have him there, and he's been there since I've been there, and sometime before. So
Yeah.
he's new. He's not no new face to the Bombers. He's one of the OGs there, and having Bible study with the guys, coming in and being able just to, share, our thoughts in our life and, share the word together were really good and really healthy for the mind, body, and the soul, and just having that, was a great impact. I know not only on my life, but everybody that was around um, being there. And so, I definitely appreciate Lauren and everything that he's done and what he's still doing to this day now. And he always come to work ready to go. He always come to work prepared. He always come um, full force, and we always feel that. We always feel that energy from him. And he brings the best out of us, especially like when we're in that building together and just talking about life. So he's definitely one of those guys as well.
That's awesome to hear. And I know it's a brief time when we get to interact with you guys, but you could just tell there's good vibes happening on both the side of the Bombers and on the Jets.
Mhm.
I know the Hallett brothers when they shared this past year, it's like, oh wow, like that's quite something. A similar journey.
Mhm.
On how I believe it was Nick. With I'm probably getting the one Hallett. Well, you know what I mean, right? And it's just
Noah Hallett. It's Noah Hallett. I know what you're talking about.
and it's like, okay, he ripped it again. Wow. But God put that in his heart, So it's interesting. And the older I get, the more I realize that it's more than just 3 hours on the field. Uh,
Mhm.
there's Brendan Alexander, the person that needs to be met after the game, before the game, etc. So
Mhm.
that's why I asked that question.
All good.
Yeah. Um, who were some of your, I guess, best role models, mentors? Favorite NFL team?
Well, I grew up a Bucks fan. I'm a Bucks fan. So, and that's the closest NFL team closest to Orlando. So, that's just what it is.
Right.
And um, one of my favorite players all time was Ed Reed. Ed Reed is I firmly believe is the best safety ever played a game of football. You know, by the way he was able to read quarterbacks, his return skills. If you threw an interception to Ed Reed, it was probably going the other way for a touchdown. So it's a very special player that can't be replicated. And then I also liked other safeties for their own attributes. I was big on hard hitting, and so I was a Brian Dawkins fan as well, a John Lynch fan, a Bob Sanders fan. All whatever safety that was hitting out there. Ronnie Lott, I'm all about the hard hitting safeties, the being an enforcer back there. So those guys were special in their own right as well. It's just so happened that Ed Reed was able to do both. He can cover and he can hit hard. Um, and then, just role models in general, obviously like my parents are, big role models, for me. And then, from college, I had again just a great group of guys that were either in my class or, a couple classes above that um, were great leaders and great mentors in themselves, and they didn't even know it. You get the Kamal Ishmael that played safety for us. You get the AJ Boyes that played corner for us. The Josh Robinsons. Um, you get the Latavius Murrays on the offensive side. Um, get my guy Hurt that was our receiver slash tight end. You had a guy named, we call him Block. He was on the offensive line. That one of those guys. We just had a great team chemistry, and it reminded me, Winnipeg reminded me of college, and I think that's why one, I had so much fun, but two, we had so much successes because the same way how Winnipeg was and at UCF, we all cared about each other, we all cared about that one goal, and we all cared to see everybody win there. So um, yeah, I was just being surrounded, by a great group of guys, and I would never sit here and take credit for anything because without those guys that was in those leadership roles that were in those type of positions, without those guys, I wouldn't be where I am at today, and being able to share my story the way that I can. So shout out to all those guys that were able to be in those positions and did it the right way.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. And then when you talk about that, right? Like before the 2019 Grey Cup, Andrew Harris is in the locker room. You got my back. You got your back. Like you got my back, and you guys all had each other's back. Your father, I got the Derek Alexanders confused. I thought, okay, he played for the Chiefs, but no, he was drafted in the same draft class as Hugh Douglas, former Philadelphia Eagle, and Warren Sapp. And I'm like, holy smokes! Like it just kind of like, oh wow. So again, you know, a role model mentor in your life as you've talked about, and you talk about the safeties, Bob Sanders has the interception to seal it for the Colts to go to Super Bowl 41 and just all this other stuff that kind of culminates itself. So um,
Mhm.
I by the sounds of it, yeah, you've had some great people in your life to help you get to the point that you are at, I
That's
think.
for sure. That's for sure. There's no question, no doubt about it.
Mhm.
Those I've been blessed to be able to, throughout my life, from as I was a kid all the way till now, that I've had always had great people that was around me, whether they were friends, family members, or just people that I looked up to, and then they just showed me that way. Even the people that I didn't know, like I'm saying, the safeties and things, but even on the basketball side, again, I just love the way that Kobe Bryant worked. I just love the way what he brought to the game. He just didn't take no for an answer. Like he always found a way, and he was one of the hardest workers in the building and in NBA history. I love that.
Yeah, no doubt. What does the future hold for Brendan Alexander?
Right now just moving and grooving right now. I'm moving and grooving right now. I don't know what the future holds. I just know that at the end of the day that God has the hold of my life and wherever that he steers me in the direction, that's where I'm gonna go. If it's still ball, it's still ball. If it's not and it's getting into this real world, getting into his life, then that's just what it is. I'm at a point now where, I'm still working out and everything. But I just want to be healthy, at the end of the day. I want to be as healthy as I can be just as a person, and try to slow father time as slow as possible. I don't want that to creep up on me any too soon, too soon at all. So but yeah, whatever that is, that next step, I'm just bringing my hard working, you know, my hard working self about me and just bringing what knowledge that I've accumulated over the years into my next step and just trying to go from there, and that's just what the future holds right now.
Well, that's good. Um, Favorite, maybe just a few more questions. Favorite hangout spot in Winnipeg?
Hangout spot. I mean, I'm
Restaurant,
cool. I, well, if we're going, if we're
Gillies
going,
roller rink, I don't know.
if we're going, just a place to chill. I like the Forks. I
Mhm.
like the Forks a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and it's got my one of my favorite ice cream places over there. I like that. I like that place. That's it's pretty chill place to be. I also like the Leaf. The Leaf was very good and it was very helpful during the winter times because it felt like home.
Yeah.
In there. It's very hot in there, and it has a really good restaurant in there. And then as far as restaurants, if I just want something real quick, I like the fish and chips. I like the fish and chips. That was my spot. It was like really only the few spots that carry malt vinegar where I could put it on my fish. So I was really cool with the fish and chips. I loved Earl's salt and pepper wings.
Hmm.
I love those. And then later on, I found out about Frankie's. Frankie's is a really good spot that I enjoyed. And Chops is a really good spot.
Yeah, Frankie's owned by 92 City FM's Joe Aiello. It was a dream of his, childhood dream to have a restaurant. So I'm always
Okay.
supporting radio guys and what have you. Um, I think that's basically all I got, Brandon. I mean, I could go on, but you're an hour ahead. I always want to be respectful of time. But this has been awesome to have you on. I really do appreciate it, and I wish you and your family all the best. And do you have anything for me?
No, like I said, I appreciate you having me on here. You definitely asked some great questions,
Thank
and
you.
we had a great chat on here. And I'm just thankful to be in this platform to be able to share, part of my story, and hopefully that it gets out, and maybe something be instilled in some of these kids, and have them change the way they perspective, the way they think, and start to flourish in their life, and whatever that they're doing, So I'm just glad that you afforded me a platform to be able to speak on here.
Hey, anytime, right? As I always tell everybody, you're welcome back. I've always said that everybody's story is important. Everybody's story needs to be told. I kind of base on a few principles that I live by in my life and what have you, because I truly believe stories are important. And
Hmm.
those journeys, right? It's not all glamour, right? There's challenges like the knee injury and that sort of thing, but honestly, by the grace of God, he brought you through it, and you know what? The time in Winnipeg was definitely a treasured memory for you.
Definitely was, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, still so good. Right on. Well, this has been great. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm gonna put this on the page shortly after. One of my ring lights popped out, but that's okay. And then I'll put this on YouTube, and yeah, that's where we can both view it, Brendan. And yeah, God bless.
Same with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Bye.